Well, good morning, everyone, and thanks for a tremendous turnout for something that is really become important for all of us everywhere in the world, specifically here in London. My job is just to kick things off, and then I'm going to turn it over to a very capable couple of speakers and a wonderful panel. What I would like to do right off the top is draw your attention to a book that we produced about a year ago called Shared Waters. They're available at the front desk. This was done, but this was designed by one of our board members, Katie Wilhelm. And as she puts it, the project centers on the premise that land and water are sentient beings that need our protection. I almost view this book as a companion to everything that we're doing this month. This was an Indigenous-led project, and a lot of the activities that we're going to be undertaking this month are also Indigenous-led. So there's 20 of these on the way out. If you want more of them, we are desperately trying to disseminate these into the community because the message is important and it needs to be disseminated. This was one of the actions that we took a couple of years ago for Indigenous reconciliation. We at the Chamber have moved past land acknowledgements in part because it's been suggested to us by the Indigenous community that while the time for acknowledgement is never going to be passed, we're 10 years into this since the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. And I think we need to start focusing on the actions that we're taking. And so that's what we try to talk about. 3 actions that we want the business community to take. We work with the Southern First Nations Secretariat. They have a job bank. London businesses are not posting jobs on the job bank. I think there's 2 major London businesses that are doing that. All you have to do is go and look and you'll see it's a bit of an embarrassment. And the rest are Indigenous-led businesses. That job bank is not being used by Indigenous folks because they come and they look and they don't see anything. So there's a two-sided problem here. So we are urged Southern First Nations Secretariat, look for the job bank. That's one thing. Post jobs, hire Indigenous. 2, they also have a business directory. And it's not huge because a lot of people aren't using it. If more London businesses went to the business directory to see where they could access Indigenous goods or services, there would be more Indigenous goods and services providers on that board. So there's the second thing. The third thing that we launched, which we urge everyone to do, is explore Indigenous allyship in the workplace. How do you create an environment that will attract and retain Indigenous employees? We did this with Nokikwe. The project is not complete. There will be a report and there's going to be follow-up. But there are 3 simple things. One is about hiring, one is about buying, and one is about education. Because I've got to tell you, 10 years on from Truth and Reconciliation, the level of education that is penetrated into the settler community is not great. So much more work needs to be done. So with that said, I'm going to kick the festivities off, and I'm going to invite our Chief Operating Officer, Kristen Duver, to the podium to have some welcoming remarks and blah blah.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here today. I'm excited to kick off Climate Action Month for Business by announcing a significant new chapter in our partnership with the City of London and sharing a few details about our new Memorandum of Understanding, or MOU. This MOU represents an important step in our shared effort to tackle climate change. Since the city declared a climate emergency in 2019 and approved the Climate Emergency Action Plan, they've outlined key areas to reduce emissions, improve energy efficiency, and prepare businesses for the challenges ahead. The Chamber is committed to supporting our business community in taking strong action on environmental sustainability as part of our 2022-2025 strategic plan. We recognize that climate action is both a responsibility and an economic opportunity. And this MOU sets a powerful framework for the collaboration between the city and the Chamber to advance these goals. In the short term, our focus will be on practical solutions that benefit businesses now, raising awareness, fostering energy efficiency, and creating leadership in environmental and sustainability. The Chamber will act as a hub connecting our members with partners to ensure businesses are prepared to thrive in a greener economy. This MOU, however, is just the beginning, and I'm confident that our partnership will lead to more opportunities for businesses to drive innovation and sustainability. And now I would like to invite to the podium Jay Stanford, Director of Climate Change for the City of London, who will share more about the importance of this MOU. Jay, over to you.
This is always the hardest part. How do I start this presentation? Hang on. There we go. Little tiny button, unfortunately. The eyes aren't as good as they once were, folks. You know, it's great here because we're actually going to be stepping back in time a little bit here. Does anyone remember a group called the Environmental Management Resource Center for Business? Put your hand up if you do. Come on. Two. It came out of the London Chamber of Commerce, probably back in 1990. It's amazing when you step back in time. I got to the city in 1995, and the EMRCB was a full-fledged entity on its own, had its birth from the chamber, and connected businesses. And in fact, it was doing at that time many of the things that we're going to be doing now at a higher level. So it's just fascinating to know that good things come back. It's better when they stay and they have a foundation. But we've got so many new faces and businesses, and many at the city as well. You have that foundation. So two things that you're going to hear about today. You've already heard about the Climate Emergency Action Plan. It's not the City of London, it is London. In that plan, there's 10 areas of focus. There's room for everyone to work and work at their own pace, and that pace has to quicken. One of the reasons we're here today. The other part is, when I look at the city, we have worked with so many members from the Chamber. We've worked with so many organizations like the Chamber, bringing all that together. Collaboration is key. We have to move projects from side of desk to center of desk. And to do that, it's not easy because we're all busy. But when you work in larger groups and everyone donates a couple hours, it's amazing when you're rowing in the same direction what you can do. So let's go through a little bit of some more foundation. People. Couple polls, not directly here in London, but London would have been included. So when we look at what's occurred over the last couple of years, on a question from a couple of large polling firms, Ipsos and Leger, how worried are you about climate change? Very worried or worried? And you look at some numbers there, and these surveys were just a year and a half ago. The takeaway there, let's go with 66%, 2/3 are worried or very worried. Then you look at other couple surveys. 60% believe individuals need to act now and do their part. That's good news. 66% agree if everyone made small changes, things happen, big impact. Okay, 66%, 2/3. This year, Earth Day, a study was published from January, February timeframe, worldwide, and a big portion done right here in Canada. 62% in Canada agree if everyone made small changes. Okay, so this is about individuals. 66%. But when you say to yourself, yes, London's included in all those polls. So if you say to yourself, 2/3 of Londoners are worried or very worried about climate action, you realize our marketplace is quite huge. We just have to find the right way to tap into them. But why we're here today is the line below the wonderful picture. Many residents are employees. That means your employees are very worried or worried about climate action. So it gives you that sense. One survey just came through directly from businesses, KPMG, a chamber member, 350 Canadian business leaders. The focus here was on not climate change mitigation, adaptation, what's happening with extreme weather. And you start looking at these numbers from Canada-wide business leaders. 92% up there. Extreme weather is having an impact. Cost impact to business. Fascinating here. Impact on profitability due to extreme weather. This one, I don't know enough about it, but I do know insurance is crucial. When you start hearing about insurance being canceled or your premiums skyrocketing due to climate, weather, extreme weather, that impacts your business. And then employee productivity. Probably not surprised to many in the room today, but these are the numbers. Now, what's important is what do we do to address this? Fear. These are not my words. These are words right out of KPMG. Fear in their organization. That is that anxiety. That is that we're very worried or we're worried. 92% are saying that. Very similar to the other 92%, probably just a subset of the information. But what do you do about fear? What do you do about anxiety? Well, the best thing to do is take action. We all do that in the business world. We wake up in the morning. What's the first thing you got to do? Take action on something, because then you remove that knot in your stomach. That's what works for me, probably works for others. 89% are more determined than ever to reduce their impact on the environment. 88%, same number essentially, climate-related goals, investing in them. Okay, let's bring this closer to London. In fact, let's bring it right to London. We've been tracking at the city our greenhouse gas emissions now for decades. What you see on the screen here is probably a chart that many of you have seen in the past. Our personal vehicles, we all know that, top of mind when it comes to greenhouse gas. We all have to make adjustments there. And those adjustments are coming slowly. Where we live, low-density homes are next highest number. The red bars are what we need to focus on. Industrial, commercial retail, commercial office. What else do we have there? Corporate fleet, railways. This is the business sector. These are employees, these are employers. 40% of London's greenhouse gases are from the business sector. This is not a blame. This is why we have to take notice. If I walked in here today and said 5%, I think Graham would be kicking me out. That's not going to be of interest to business. The fact it's 40%, and our numbers are also indicating we haven't included in there the commute to and from work. We know that's changed over the years since the pandemic, but when you add that in, quite likely businesses are in the range of 45, maybe half of the emissions. Very important on why we're thinking about this. Mitigation and adaptation. And the best news is businesses are here in London. We've been tracking a number of websites from some of the larger employees. I think it's in the order of about 100 or 90 to 100 businesses. And we're looking at their websites. And we're starting to see more and more sustainability indicators, climate change commitments, and we're up to 70% right here in London. Once again, that's not 10%. This is our base. Our base is strong to continue to do more. Just nice to see the growth just in the last 2 years of what's occurring out there. At the city, when we look at what we're trying to do here today, we've been doing this for a long time with individual members, groups. We've been working with Green Economy London, helping them to grow the membership there for some direct environmental action on sustainability, water, greenhouse gas reduction, waste reduction. The Chamber and its Environmental Leadership Award, we were so happy to help elevate that this year at the City of London, and the enthusiasm in those videos came through loud and clear. Those videos were phenomenal about the 2 finalists. But other things where businesses have been directly involved. Action is occurring. Once again, our base, our foundation is solid. So moving forward with this memorandum of understanding, I somewhat chuckle a little bit because we've been doing it. But what we've done is we've elevated, and the we is a big we. As staff, we work with council. We bring them advice. Council then looks at this and says, this is a good thing to help pursue the Climate Emergency Action Plan. And council then endorses. The Chamber, Graham, I believe you brought this up to your board. They looked at that. This is a professional handshake at the highest level, a memorandum of understanding, and you heard from Kristen, on working together. So for me, it has reached a new level, because now Graham and others can say, hey, the city's on board with our initiatives, and we will be. Quick discussion. The city can say, look, we can get the business in a moment's notice to help us work on an application to FCM, Federation of Canadian Municipalities, the federal government, or whatever it might be. We are aligned. Collaboration is key when we're not having the exact same answers and direction, but our alignment, we're heading in the direction. That famous term, rowing together, back from the mid-90s, is a wonderful way of looking at this. So one thing, just a quick example, Smart Commute London. Has anyone heard of this program? Okay, not bad. 5, maybe 7. This is the interesting part. Thanks, Sandra, our city manager. Good. Yes. I wanted that hand to get high. Okay, look, so here's the challenge. We've been out there promoting this council-approved program that's free, designed for businesses since April. About 7 of you have heard of it. Okay, I'm doing a lousy job. I will take the blame. But the blame is one of not for lack of trying, everyone's busy. But now working alongside the chamber, a program like this that's designed for business, why wouldn't we be promoting and working alongside the chamber? Well, we were heading in that direction, but now it's elevated. I can say, Graham, how about let's have a commuter month where we don't commute. These are the kinds of things that we can move forward on, and why the city's investment in all of this is going to triple, if not quadruple, because of the ability to work closely with business on something that is aligned closely. We do care about the environment. We have differences of opinion, and of course we can work through those. But when it comes to the adaptation and resiliency side, we have seen the evidence right here in London. We don't have to see the fire and storms in other parts of the country. We've seen those impacts here in London in the last couple of years. So moving forward locally, I think I'm at my limit from a time perspective. This is really, really exciting. And I know the folks I work with at the city, we are excited to have this closer relationship immediately. And we want to acknowledge the great relationship we've had with many of you for the years that have passed, and our goal of elevating that where we can and collaborating even further. The best part here is a bunch of things are laid out for the month of November. You heard Kristen talk briefly about that. You see some of the screen clips there of the upcoming circular economy talks, Business After 5, focused on sustainability. Then our grand finale, November 28th. All pieces that I'll tell you, we could not at the city have pulled this off. Working with the professional staff at the chamber and watching that machine put this together very quickly, it's wonderful. We learned a few tricks on how to get things done and mobilize really quickly and get this many people in the room this early in the morning. So we're excited about November, but I'm even more excited about next year. It's too easy with the stuff we've got planned. It's what comes next, and we're already working on that. Smart Commute London rolling out even stronger this year and into 2025. There's going to be some stuff on the Chamber Business Achievement Awards. I'll save that for others to talk about. There's some adjustments, but really the focus on climate action, the London Climate Emergency Action Plan is all of ours. Whether you like that title or not, taking action on climate is what we all must do. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Skylar Franke, and I'm the Ward 11 City Councillor for the City of London, but also I previously used to work in the environmental sector, so I know many of you from my time working at the London Environmental Network and Reforest London, and great to see you all this morning. I have the pleasure of inviting up the panelists, if you'd like to come and sit and emceeing the panel discussion. So for the 4 panelists, if you'll make your way here. Thank you. And I'll be introducing them as well. So we are delighted to have Kaitlin Creighton, Director of Sustainability from London Environmental Network, who has a Master's of Environment and Sustainability from Western and a degree specializing in environmental governance from the University of Guelph. As the Director, Kaitlin oversees the development of events, programs, communications, and engages with community partners for special project collaborations that expand the reach of the London Environmental Network planning. We also have Cleveland Brownlee, District Operations Manager for Southwestern Ontario for the Better Bin Company, and who is originally from Atlanta, Georgia, but has called London home since 2013. He has won numerous awards in the community and has become a staple here through his strong community service efforts. And man, can he hit a home run. I had to add it. So if you don't have plans for the summer, the Majors is an excellent experience. We also have Bev Kolbe. Is it Kolbe or Kolbe? Kolbe, perfect. President and CEO of Goodwill Industries Ontario Great Lakes. And as CEO, Bev focuses on strengthening environmental stewardship through collaboration and designing innovative circular solutions locally, regionally, and nationally. We are also joined by Ilona, the commercial property manager from BlueStone Properties, who's a seasoned commercial property manager with a wealth of experience in property management and facility operations. For the past 11 years, she's worked in the commercial office division at BlueStone, where she focuses on improving standards and implementing energy-saving initiatives. So I won't go too much further, although they all had excellent bios, which you would have read when you registered, with a lot of very impressive experience, because I will be turning it over in a minute to have them kind of explain the work that they do at their businesses. But I just wanted to let you know we'll be doing a bit of a panel. We'll have some space for Q&A, so if you have questions, please save them for the end, but we'll make sure that there's time for that. But to kick it off, because we are joined by such delightful and experienced folks, I would love if you could tell me a bit about your organization and the kinds of actions you've taken to address climate change. And that's for everyone, but I'll start here beside me.
Yes.
That sounds good.
Yeah, so BlueStone Properties is a local property management and development company. We have residential, commercial, and industrial buildings all over the city. And sustainability has been a part of our journey for many years now. In 2019, we signed up as members of Green Economy London, and I've been actively involved in our sustainability initiative since. But I feel like where we really kickstarted things was 2023, where we enrolled or rolled out our environmental policy. We recognized that as a property management development company, we have a huge responsibility in reducing greenhouse gas emissions. The real estate sector is one of the biggest emitters. And we have been continuously working on implementing different projects, mostly facilities related, upgrades of equipment, boiler replacements, different energy efficiency initiatives, LED lighting upgrades, and most recently, a building automation system upgrade at our Dufferin Corporate Center downtown. And that was a big game changer for us because we saw our electricity consumption lowering by 7 to 9% compared to previous years. Over the years at the Dufferin Corporate Center, we set a target to reduce our consumption by 30% by 2030. We set this target in 2012, and we are currently at 23%, so we are doing really great, and I think we are surpassed our goal.
Yeah.
So can everyone hear this fine? At the London Environmental Network, we are an environmental charity based in London, and we run several different programs that have different focus areas for different audiences to take environmental action. So we create climate action opportunities for all. So for example, we have our business sustainability program, which is Green Economy London. And we have about 45 businesses that are part of that program, including BlueStone. And we provide them and work with them to provide tools and resources to set and achieve sustainability targets. So we will work with them to do carbon accounting. So a great place to start is getting an understanding of where your impact is and where your emissions are coming from. So doing GHG inventories to understand your impact, providing employee engagement opportunities for these organizations, micro grant opportunities to get projects on the ground and implemented, as well as recognition for sustainability successes. So you probably saw on Jay's slide, he had the Green Leader Awards, and that's our environmental awards ceremony to celebrate businesses and their environmental action. And we also work collaboratively with a lot of the other environmental nonprofits in London too, to create sustainable change and really demonstrate that practical solutions can happen. And
Great, thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Goodwill Industries, Ontario Great Lakes. So we are a nonprofit social enterprise. We are one of 153 Goodwills in North America, one of 5 in Canada, 3 here in Ontario. We have the largest territory in Canada, second largest in North America. So we have all of Ontario except for Hamilton and the Niagara region. Those are 2 smaller Goodwills. We have over 1,200 employees, many of them in the London region, a good number of them actually working at our recycling and sustainability facility out on White Oak Road. And we have 3 priorities. We advance people through creating jobs, skills development and training, protecting our planet through our sustainability and circularity efforts, and our growth as we now look to transform our post-consumer retail supply chain. So Goodwill has always been in the reuse, recycling business, keeping goods in use, extending their life, and diverting millions of pounds from the landfill. Last year, we diverted 55 million pounds from the landfill, and there's more to be done. We've recently hired a director of sustainability and circularity. This is a new role for Goodwill because we are really advancing the work that we're doing now in the circular economy, co-designing solutions with community.
Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. So I'm in a little unique situation here. So I work for the Better Bin Company, but I also work closely with our sister company, Try Recycling, that you all might know here in the city. So what we've done is we created the first environmentally friendly bin that you see around the city. So those are those big white disposable bags that you might see around a lot of the new home subdivisions going up in the city. So what we do as a company, we try to work with communities such as like London, our home base here, and we help divert a lot of the materials that are coming off of job sites so that they don't go directly to landfills. We try to keep our fleet as new as possible with all the latest emissions technologies so that we cut down on the greenhouse gases. And our biggest thing is, like I say, we divert as much material away from landfills as possible. So anything that you bring into us, our goal is to get about 85 to 90% out of everything that you bring to us. We can turn it into a different product and reuse it back in the community.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that intro, everyone. And one of the things I love hearing about these different stories is even if you don't love saving the planet, which I think everyone in this room does, you also are saving money. I think that's a good demonstration of triple bottom line and why a lot of organizations are moving in this direction. Moving on to a couple other questions. This one is for Kaitlin and Ilona. How do you engage employees, customers, and other stakeholders in your sustainability efforts? What role do they play in driving change? So perhaps I'll start with Kaitlin.
So a big thing for us is storytelling and sharing those sustainability successes and just demonstrating that what's possible essentially, and really anyone can take action, and regardless of the sector or size of your organization. So for example, if we have worked with, if there's been a successful project, I'll use you as an example because they just implemented their green bin program at the Deference Center. So we will create case studies about those successful projects because we want those to act as a resource for another organization to refer back to and maybe be inspired about what they can implement at their own organization. And so that's been really effective in not only engaging sharing our own mission as the London Environmental Network, but also working with our member organizations to help them share their mission as well and communicate the sustainability storytelling to their employees and stakeholders. So yeah, that's probably a big thing for us, and just being able to turn those examples into tangible resources that people can use and then inspire others hopefully to do the same.
So building a sustainable business aligns very much with our core vision, building better lives and better communities through better properties. And engaging stakeholders is one of those things that we do every day. And by stakeholders, we refer to our tenants, residents, and our employees, and also starting the conversation with our contractors, which is a little bit more difficult, but as to continue the idea of the organic spin, we received many requests from our tenants. Okay, when are you going to implement this? Sustainability is really important to us. And so we took this initiative. It was really successful. We got a lot of buy-in. We rolled out sustainability guide for our building to help people with different tips, energy saving tips, how to recycle properly. It's a continuous challenge. I feel a lot of people still don't understand the impact. Okay, what if I put that organic or food waste in the waste bin? Why we are doing that? And it's because if it decomposes, it creates methane, it gets released to the atmosphere that contributes to greenhouse gas emissions. So it all ties in together, but I feel there is still more knowledge needs to be disseminated. As far as engaging our residents, our commercial and residential portfolios have different challenges around that. So we are trying to, again, work with our tenants to send out newsletters with tips to educate them, do the fats, oil, and grease program in the residential, and different initiatives. We implemented an environmental communication program. So our staff is trained on how to address these things and educate the tenants.
Thank you. Yes, it sounds for both of you like communication is key, and I can agree. I feel like there's often times where people within your own organization don't even know, the sustainability measures you're doing because perhaps it's only in one department, you're not sharing. So it sounds like for both, it's really important to continue sharing those stories. Moving on, what metrics or benchmarks do you use to measure the success of your climate initiatives? And can you share any specific outcomes? And this is over to Bev and Cleveland. So we'll start with Bev.
Yes, we have key metrics that we use to track our progress against our sustainability goals and be able to share what our impact is with respect to the environment. So we track the number of donations that we receive every year and the total weight of those donations. And then we track the total weight of all the goods that we reuse through resale. We track the total weight of goods that are recycled, and then we measure our diversion from landfill rate. So for example, last year we took in over 1 million donations, and that equated to 65 million pounds of goods. So we reused 41 million pounds through resale, and we recycled 14 million pounds. So our diversion from landfill rate last year was almost 85%, 84.6%. Most recently, we've started doing waste audits of all of our facilities, including food waste from our cafes. And initially, that was to establish a baseline and develop plans for each of our sites to move towards zero waste, which is anything less than 10%. And we are also now formally tracking our energy consumption so that we're better positioned to evaluate our organizational emissions over time.
Thank you. And I'll also say that this is from Goodwill. So I've diverted maybe half a pound. I mean, I have many more pounds of diversion, but right now on me, maybe half a pound.
We appreciate it.
Over to Cleveland.
So the way that we measure our success of what we're doing with the climate action changes, we always look at in the Better Ben Company how many how many tons we can divert away from landfills each year. So we work with a lot of different municipalities around. We work with a lot of different builders, and we try to work with as many recycling companies, such as like your Tri Recyclings or your City of Waterloo, places like that. That when we do pick up materials around the city, that we can take them there instead of going directly to the landfill. Also, a way that we internally measure our success is how many communities we can help out throughout that year. We always look and engage and say, how many communities have we joined to say that, such as like here when we do the, I guess it's doing Earth Month, that we go out and we help the City of London do their cleanup, or we help the City of St. Thomas do cleanups, things like that. So we measure ours almost internally and say, you know what, another municipality has joined on, or another town or another city has joined on with the Better Ben Company to say, hey, we want you guys to bring out your bins so that we can do a community cleanup and help the environment. So I think that's our way of measuring our success.
I really love that because I think, again, measuring success based on a number of people you've connected with and influenced, I think is incredibly important because we all know we want to continue to invite people into our sustainability tent. So I love that that's one of the metrics you guys use. And this one now is, can you highlight any innovative practices or technologies your business has adopted to reduce its carbon footprint? And I'll start with Ilona and then Bev and Cleveland as well. So we'd love to hear about the innovative practices.
I touched on it a little bit earlier. What is most recent is our building automation system that we implemented. So operating our equipment more efficiently, being able to control in a much better way has created great results with electricity reduction. And other than that, again, just the upgrades of our equipment in the residential buildings, the boiler upgrades that we have done, some of the roof replacements we have completed resulted in energy savings, window replacements, LED retrofits, all those.
And could I get, just in case folks don't know, could you explain a little bit more what a building automation system is, maybe kind of at a basic level?
Yes, so the building automation system in a commercial or residential building controls all the HVAC and lighting in the building and many other things. Everything comes together under one umbrella, is controlled more efficiently by this central computer in a very simplistic way. And operates, for example, if people are familiar with the makeup air units on the top of the buildings that draw in fresh air, we have carbon dioxide sensors. So with measuring how much fresh air the building needs, we are now able to better to run the equipment 100% or less, like 50%, which saves us energy as opposed to running it 100% all the time. So that's just one thing that it does.
Perfect. So as opposed to each room, you having to turn on and off the lights, turn the heat up.
Yeah, and motion sensors is the other thing, controlling the light automatically to make sure it turns on at a specific time, turns off at the end of business hours. So we control that and we make sure lights don't stay on all night. And
yeah, I don't know if you guys walk around downtown at night, but sometimes I wish some other buildings downtown had that when I see 6 floors with all their lights on. Although maybe they have cleaners. So, but sometimes I wish there are more buildings with some of those systems. But thank you. Over to Bev, maybe to highlight any innovative practices.
Yes, so a number of years ago, to reduce our energy and fuel consumption, we started to make some changes. We replaced all of our exterior and interior lighting with LED. We have installed automatic doors on our stores. We have smart thermostats. Our forklifts are electric. We optimized our transportation routes for our fleet. And we also instituted regular, almost proactive maintenance schedules so that our equipment is functioning, at the most efficient levels possible. And that's been a significant cost savings for us and obviously using less energy. One new innovation that we're really excited to share about is we've invested in a plastics granulator. This is to be delivered by the end of November, fingers crossed. And this will granulate end-of-use hard plastics and create a feedstock for a recycler here in Ontario that is using it in recycled decking. And we're anticipating that in the first year, we'll divert 500,000 pounds of plastic from the landfill. And so this is new information for me, but if I remember correctly, that equates to 223 tons of plastic. And when 1 ton of plastic sits in a landfill, it releases 3 tons of carbon dioxide equivalent emissions. And so from this initiative in year 1, we're going to prevent 669 tons of carbon dioxide equivalent emissions from being released into the atmosphere. And we're extremely excited because these plastics are currently going to landfill. And across our municipalities, across our province, across Canada, plastic waste is an issue. And so we're looking forward to working with our municipalities and our business communities to help solve the plastic waste.
That's so exciting.
We are super excited. Yes, thank you.
And now over to Cleveland.
So if you look around London, we see that London is growing very fast in population. So what we've done is with our product, we created a way for home builders to understand how we can cut down their carbon footprint. And not to take shots at any of the other companies in the room, because I do see some of my competitors in here, but what we've done is we've created a bin of this site that's 6.6 cubic yards. As we see that things are getting a lot closer, more townhomes are being built, things like that, we can put our bins at every site inside of that townhome. That's going to cut down on having larger bins, one or two in the community where people have to walk, carry things all the way down. That truck has to come back and forth and take those bins. Well, we can come in, we can cut down our carbon footprint. We can empty 2 to 3 times what the average bin company can do in one day at one time. So that's how we've implemented our practices. So like I said, we work with a lot of home builders that a lot of companies are becoming net zero homes and things like that now. So we push our product on them to say, hey, working with us, we can cut down on your carbon footprint with our trucks coming in with lower emissions. And also where we're taking the material, we can help you guys recycle, things like that.
Great. Awesome. So I have one last question before I open up to Q&A, although I have more questions, but I want to save some time for Q&A. So the last question on the list is, what is a first step or action that you recommend for an organization or business if they're looking to get started on their sustainability journey? So I'll open this up to everyone, but I'll start with Kaitlin. What would you suggest as a first step?
I think a good first step would be just understanding where your emission sources are coming from. So you won't be able to effectively make reductions and set reduction targets if you don't understand where your impact is coming from. So taking that first step, something like a greenhouse gas inventory to understand, just pinpoint kind of where you want to focus all of your time and resources on, and identifying what you want to reduce. I think that, and you touched on this, Bev, as well, like it's important to understand what your highest emitting sources are, and then from there you can decide what's practical and ambitious but still achievable reduction targets. So I think that would be a really good place to start. And then just starting conversation, and I think collaboration is super important. So being able to ask questions and talk with different stakeholders and talk to other businesses and learn from others as well for what's going on.
Great, thanks. Over to Bev, and we'll go down the line.
I would say start now. Don't put it off. With the legislation and regulations that are emerging, evolving, it's going to come to Canada. It should, it needs to. And it would be great to at least have something in place so that you're in a better position when the legislation does come into Canada. So I would say, start now and start small. You don't have to do it all. It is a work in progress. We're figuring out a lot, and it's just about, advancing this year over year. And work with your community, connect with your colleagues, reach out to Goodwill, reach out to any of us, learn about what we're doing and how we could potentially do it together. Goodwill does very little in solidarity. We're all about partnerships, and I firmly believe that, we can have broader collective impact if we do this work together.
We're better together. I love it.
We are better.
Okay, over to Cleveland.
So we're almost like a community-driven company here. So I think it starts at the top of all organizations. If we get everybody at the top of these organizations on board, and then it trickles down to all the employees. I think learning about what your end goal is, and our end goal is, we understand in the waste industry that the life expectancy of landfills is decreasing faster than we ever seen before. So if we can teach these businesses how to become better, or work with, like say, companies like the ones that are here, I think that as a whole, that it helps all of us out. Just working with people and understanding what that end goal is. You can start anywhere, but start with a goal in mind and where you want to get that company to.
Awesome. Thank you. And Ilona?
Yeah, to build on that, I would say align sustainability with your company vision, especially for small and medium-sized businesses. Make small, measurable changes one at a time. Involve your people, your employees, educate them about what sustainability is. Work with partners such as Green Economy London. They provide guidance and a lot of great resources to make changes.
Great. Thank you for all those tips. All right. So round of applause, and we're going to go to Q&A. Thank you all. Give it. So does anyone have a question off the hop, or I'm going to bring this mic around?
Thanks, Skylar. So, Kaitlin, my question's to you. I think you said you had 45 businesses that were part of Greener Economy London. So, Chamber of Commerce, you know, we've got 950 members, and it sounds like there's a real opportunity there. Of that 950, I would say 80% are businesses that employ fewer than 25 people. One of our experiences in a lot of our initiatives is big businesses have access to head office information, they have access to resources, but the smaller businesses don't. They want to achieve something, for example, in Indigenous reconciliation. How do you do it? They want to do something in terms of climate, but how do you do it? So my question to you is, like, how can we together turn 45 into 450?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, you know, being involved in initiatives like this, like Climate Action Month with the Chamber and the city, is a great place to start. And also, yeah, just furthering collaboration opportunities. And with, like you mentioned, the businesses that have, you know, 25 or fewer employees, something that Green Economy London does is providing that really practical and cost-effective solution to small and medium-sized businesses to make sustainability changes. So we want to you know, build capacity with those organizations so they feel that they can do it on their own, but also kind of guide them at the same time and provide the resources such as the carbon accounting tool that they may not otherwise have access to if they were a larger corporation, for example. And then, yeah, also just, you know, a big barrier as well is cost in terms of implementing sustainability projects. So accessing the microgrant opportunities that we can offer has been a big support. I think since 2019, we've been able to administer over 80,000 in microgrants to implement sustainability projects to businesses in London. And that could be anything from an LED lighting retrofit to, you know, upgrading your sinks and toilets to be more, to conserve more water. So really anything can be a sustainability project. It just ties into cost savings and energy savings. So yeah, I think continuing to collaborate on events like this and being able to share insights with your network and our network. And
so you heard it, folks. Caitlin's got the money. So if you want the money, Caitlin's got the money.
Okay, I have a question for Bev and Ilona. I'm sorry, I know it's new to you and you might not know this information, but I'm super curious about the plastics equipment. Are you comfortable sharing what it cost? And also, is there like a max, like how many pounds it can deal with yearly without requiring a lot of maintenance or anything like that? Do you have those kinds of statistics?
So the cost, I can disclose that. I think it was about $130,000. Was that Canadian? That might have been US, 130,000 US. So actually not a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't take up a huge footprint in our warehouse. I think it's 10,000 square feet at most, not even. Okay. And when you talk about maintenance, the one thing we're excited about is it's going to create a couple jobs because it is going to need to be maintained. And with respect to the amount of plastic, I'm not sure. We don't have our 6,000. 600,000 pounds a year. That's my chief operating officer there,
hard to
Skylar. Great to have him in the room. We're going to have a lot of learning because some of the technologies, and I'm not sure about this one, but they're modular, and so you can add on to them to create more capacity. So more to come once we have it, and people are invited to come out to our facility for a tour and see this. We will be opening that up to our business community for sure.
Perfect. I work with Kaitlin, so we would love to host a tour there
Wonderful.
with you.
Invitation extended.
And then, Ilona, do you have an idea of payback periods for your automation system? Like, have you looked at that data to know, like, what the energy savings is fiscally and if it paid your system back?
It is very new, so I don't have a full year of data to work on, so I may be able to provide information at our next event.
Perfect. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other questions from the, oh, here we go at the back. Perfect.
Hi, me and my wife are active composters. We've got a pilot project in our condo billing, thanks to Jay's work. And my question is, as a business owner, what tools do we have to encourage our employees and our business to actively compost?
Thank you. So I don't know if anyone off the hopper wants to comment, and that also I may give this mic to Jay since it's related, but does anyone want to comment initially?
I could add quickly, and then probably Jay would be best to speak on this. But one thing that we've seen is just putting signage, making it, sorry, I don't know where you are to look at you. Oh, making the information easily accessible for your tenants. So we talked earlier in the panel about communication. So, putting something together, even if it's just a one-page flyer indicating what can and can't go in the compost. So it's just easy for tenants to see and understand, because they just might not be aware of how to do it. Or
Just a comment. We have the pilot program, which only is 10% of our total units. We have a limit, and because of that program, that's been very successful. My question is, as a business owner, how do I get this transplanted to my business? The tools for my business participation to contribute to the composting program.
Do any of you guys compost in your facilities? Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't get what business are you
My business is a kitchen renovation company in Byron. So I sell kitchen cabinets and I sell them to contractors and renovators. But it's a design center. We have people coming in, we have recycling, we have all these things that we'd like to process into a consumer system. But as a business, we don't have those tools. I just am asking, specifically Jay, is there plans like for the city to provide some of those tools? Like in our condo, we have now for 10% of our residents, we have composting ability. And are there any plans for business to actually kind of replicate that system and utilize the commercial vehicles that the city has used and all of the infrastructure that the city has done, but to kind of provide those for the city? That's why I came today. I was kind of like fascinated by the notion that businesses now are going to get these tools as well.
Don't put you on the spot.
No, it's talking about dollars and cents. Now, Peter, number one, we can help grow in your building, the residential portion. So we know it's been successful so far in the cooperation that you have with the existing members. Let's go further in the building. Hearing that a couple buildings are already up and running on their own is always news to our ears. That's ideal when responsibility goes on, because organics in the multi-residential sector are the responsibility of the building owners, according to legislation and regulation from the provincial government. It's not to say there's not tremendous interest from city staff and council to see that move forward on the residential sector. When it comes to the business sector, what you're pointing out, Peter, is that we're not in that space right now. But through a memorandum of understanding like this, it's an opportunity for us to share what we learn on what we do. We're serving residents at the curb, where we've got 130,000 green bins out there now. The growth in the multi-residential sector, both via the city and privately, which is even more fascinating. But taking that knowledge to small, medium, and larger businesses, we don't have budget for that per se, but we do have the wisdom and knowledge to work alongside others that are in the business already. So I think that is really, really key. As a city, we have to be very cautious how we enter into the business sector. We like to stay in our lane, but we also like to share our knowledge. It's just the dollars and cents sometimes are not what we're all about. We go to council for that. And right now, just to repeat, on the business side, we're not there, but we are happy to share wisdom and knowledge.
Thank you. And perhaps I'll follow up as a council member. I would also encourage, if you're in Byron, to email your city councillor and let them know. But hearing more, again, as a city councillor, hearing from businesses in my ward saying, hey, I really want an organics pickup. How do we make this happen? Then we start to hear it and we start to prioritize it when we start having funding discussions at council. And we're going to be wrapping up in a couple of minutes. There might be an opportunity to chat with some of the businesses that do waste diversion, not specifically the organics, but some of the other ones. Maybe there are end-use products for some of the kitchen cabinetry stuff that you're discussing. So, but I think that's a further discussion perhaps for afterwards and another time. We've got opportunity for one more question. Okay, got one more, and then we're going to do door prizes, so you can't leave yet.
Hi, I'm Maureen from Pillar Nonprofit Network, and we own a building, a 130-year-old building downtown London. And the challenge, as I'm sure I don't have to tell you, Kaitlin, with an old repurposed building is, you're recycling a building, really, rather than demolishing and building something brand new. But then the downside of operating an old building, it's a co-tenant space. We have tenants in there. We host events and meetings, and our staff work out of there. But, they're not the most efficient buildings in the world. And as a smallish, medium-sized nonprofit struggling with the challenges in the nonprofit sector around funding and sustainability and all of that stuff, is there supports that the London Environmental Network or other organizations in town can provide to an organization like Pillar? There are other nonprofits that own older buildings in town as well. So some kind of an energy audit that you would come out and do. We do have composting on site. We do recycling. We do all the things that we can do, but we know that our systems are not extremely efficient. We have 5 HVAC systems in the building, some of them working, some of them not. But when it comes to, say, energy efficiency, whoever's last of the Pillar staff, goes throughout the building and literally finds the millions of light switches, because they're all over the place, and turns out the lights as we go, which is, sometimes a light switch gets missed here and there. But finding a way for an organization like Pillar to do the best we can with energy efficiency, install new technology. If there are grants available and things like that, that would be awesome. And in the past, there have been federal grants and everything to implement, smart technology, but just looking to do the best we can within the funds that we have available.
Thank you. So maybe I'll start with Kaitlin. If anyone else wants to chime in, feel free.
Yeah, I think a good place to start, and this is something that Green Economy London can do, and we have a lot of nonprofit members as well that are part of our organization. It's not only businesses, but we will do a greenhouse gas inventory. So it's really just submitting utility data, and then we have an in-house tool, carbon accounting tool that we use, so you can see the emissions that are directly from your HVAC system, your electricity, your water, waste, if you want to track that, employee commuting, and things like that. And then we go through that report together, and you can see year over year the impact, and then we can make recommendations based on those, and also based on the highest emitting sources or what your priorities are. So in your case, energy efficiency can identify and kind of match you up with different funding opportunities that are available, some of which are from us through our Green Project support stream, others that are available to anyone, such as Save on Energy is a really good one. They have a lot of incentives for lighting upgrades and different efficiency upgrades. So that would probably be a really good place to start. Yeah, I don't know, does anyone else want to chime in there?
Yeah, so I just wanted to add that we did conduct energy audits with the Green Economy London, and I found those very insightful and helpful for future projects. And as well, I don't know how large your building is, but as I mentioned earlier, and it sounds like you have a lot of light switches, so a building automation system is always a good solution to control those centrally, as well as your HVAC. And there are grants for that types of systems.
Great. So I'm going to have to wrap it up there, but it sounds like, again, some further discussions. But I did want to do the door prize, and I'm not sure exactly how we're doing it, but we're going to do one. So I'm coming over here. Oh, we would choose. Okay. This is, I'm not picking, it's automatic. So, see? Okay. Let's see. There's Allison from Fanshawe. She just, she doesn't get it. Next one. Ron, oh no. Peter from the Kitchen Loft. There, there we go. Okay, come on up. Is it both? Okay, you get both. There's one door prize and you get both, so you can decide if you want to share. Thank you very much. And then I did want to briefly, before we wrap up, invite Julie Bevan from Museum London. She has a little message to share with everyone, and then we'll wrap up.
Thanks so much, Skylar. Morning, everyone. Thank you, panelists and Chamber of Commerce. I want to warmly and enthusiastically invite you to Museum London this Saturday. How many people in the room here this morning are in the mix on the Hope and Action Climate Change Symposium? We've got lots of people already participating. So this is a project that is happening all day tomorrow for students. But on Saturday, all of you and your families are invited to Museum London. This is a collaboration with 13 community partners. What you can expect during the course of the day are tours next to the river talking about floodplains, tours of exhibitions to talk about how Canadian contemporary artists are grappling with ideas of climate change, including a new work by Katie Wilhelm, who's a board member at the Chamber of Commerce, and Summer Brissett, called Bukpakamak, Weaving Endurance. We'll also have hands-on activities, a tree giveaway, there's a bike valet, panel discussions by many community leaders. The whole day is free, and we can't wait to welcome you to the museum. So if you have any other questions, feel free to ask me before we head out this morning, or check our website for more information. Thanks, Skylar.
Wonderful. I'm going to be there. I'm going. And I think it's from 10 to 4 on Saturday, so I'll be there. So that concludes our morning, and we want to leave a little bit of time for people to chat if they have any follow-ups. But thank you so much for joining. Thank you for the Chamber. I'm going to pass it to Graham, and maybe one more round of applause for our panelists.